If you got kicked out of your house and didn't have anywhere to go but you did have a car, where could you park it to sleep overnight that wouldn't get disturbed by police people? I did for 3 months. I slept in a church parking lot, but it was because I asked the pastor at that church and he was cool about it. Sometimes all you have to do is ask for someone to help you. That was a nice deed of him. At some places they do consider the church parking lot as a private parking lot. Therefore you could be towed, but if you ask it wouldn't hurt. I just cut out the middleman and directly ask the towing company if I can park in their parking lot. I was expecting this comment to say I just cut out the middleman and ask God directly. Your comment makes more sense though. No sir, you can't tow me from here. God told me it was okay for me to squat in the church parking lot. It's his house, right? Seems he'd be the one to ask. Call the Pope, he'll back me up. Some large cities have sanctuary parking lots. Mostly churches. Some are women and children only while others are men only. The pastor of a church couldn't find a bed for you to sleep in? Or were you turning down further charity? Cars can be pretty comfortable with a little work as long as the weather isn't too warm. Cold you can deal with, to an extent, but there's nothing you can do in a car besides leave it running all the time to combat anything above around 70. But as long as it's cooler than that, you can throw a foam pad or air mattress in the back of an SUV and stretch out and be pretty snug. I've done it. Slept okay. Actually for a few months afterwards I had a hard time sleeping in a room. Too much space around me. Also, many churches have resources to help people in this situation regardless of faith, or no faith at all. I actually can answer this. Kind of. I didn't get kicked out, but rather I moved out of home to another state where I didn't really know anyone, and I slept in my car for several weeks to save up money. I mainly slept in the parking lot of a shopping center that had a grocery store and a bar. So my car could kind of just park among the cars of the overnight crew. How did you take showers and stuff? Where did you work? I worked, and still work, at Amazon. I was staying at various Airbnbs when I started, but I figured I could save up for a place faster if I just slept in the car for a bit. Was only about 6 weeks or so, and found a roommate via Craigslist. That was a few years back. I joined Planet Fitness to shower on the suggestion of a coworker. I didn't tell anyone unless they asked, honestly. Prior to joining the gym, I would just use baby wipes for my body, and then wash my hair with bottled water and some shampoo conditioner I kept in the car. Plus, the shopping center I was staying at had a storage facility. I rented a unit to put my boxes, my clothes and whatnot, and a laundromat. And then I just went to various local libraries if I needed to use internet services. I also shaved and brushed my teeth in the library restrooms because I didn't stop and think maybe I should do this at the gym. I can be resourceful when need be. But also lucky. I'm not gonna pretend luck didn't play its part. Are you okay now, man? I could PM you some human souls if you need. Yeah, I'm good these days, thanks. I mentioned in another comment, I found a place to live a few years back. I was luckily only in that position for like 6ish weeks, and lucky in that I did it of my own choosing instead of due to circumstances beyond my control. Started doing my car living in mid-September, met my current roommate that Halloween and moved in the very next day. I wouldn't turn down a hot stack of tasty souls, though. Do you accept demon souls? I'm all out of human souls. Sure, I can always restart my diet tomorrow. You okay, buddy? Not gonna lie, it's rough times over here, but I genuinely appreciate all the support and suggestions. If you really need help, PM me. I can't spare much, but I'm not homeless. I'll help however I can. Same. PM me. Nah, PM op. He won't know if these offers are real, and like most of us, probably has trouble asking for help. If you're able to help, tell him specifically how, so he doesn't feel like a jerk asking for something you can't give. I honestly don't understand why people say PM me when they can easily PM OP themselves. Thank you for this. I love the recommendations, but your comment made my heart swell. This was my initial response to. Why the question? Does OP need help? Your username makes it sound like you are trying to find OP for other reasons. I've slept at truck stops exclusively for the better part of a week at a time before, not as a trucker, and would recommend it. I've never had issues with people bothering me. Fumes typically aren't too bad if you don't park within a huge cluster of trucks, and having bathrooms and food quickly available is also beneficial. If you decide to go with a Walmart parking lot, this link will show you which Walmarts do not allow for overnight parking. I live in a tiny town with a rather large truck stop. If you go during the wee hours of the morning, there's usually 2-5 cars at any given time with people just passed out in them. I reckon they had a long trip and needed a snooze. I've done this before too. I used to gather dead people for funeral homes from hospitals and care facilities. I had a special trip to make once to hospital 2 hours away, and I tried to do it all in one drive, but on the way home I was fading, so I found a truck stop and passed out by one. Bothers you? It's great. Wait. So you took a nap in your car with a dead person? Obviously. They're great to spoon because you can manipulate them into the right position and then they don't move from it. Justin, for your information, truck stops off of big interstate exits are huge human trafficking areas. I-5 for example. I had a friend who was in this predicament and their best solution was a 24-hour location that was safe and well lit, where people were generally respectful and crime was non-existent or limited. They chose a hospital and has no problems. If anyone hassled you, you say you're waiting for visiting hours to be over, or someone is in surgery, or you weren't feeling well and drove there and felt woozy and fell asleep. If you park up in a hospital, whatever you do, don't use the evening night shift car park. Nurses get followed to vehicles regularly enough that you'll scare them and security will kick you out. Park in a corner of the visitor's car park and make the excuse that your grandmother is ill and you drove right over but missed visiting hours and don't have anywhere to stay. Excuse me, what? Nurses get followed regularly? As a retail worker, I believe it. We've had female employees get followed to their cars multiple times in the past few years. People, men, are often either plain old creepy, or they see women who have to be nice to them because of their job and assume that somehow means they're into them. We've had 2 employees followed directly to their house as well. The hospital thing probably depends on the area. The hospital where I delivered my daughter charges for parking, so I'd imagine not a great place to spend the night in your car. Also, hospitals in the US are not currently allowing visitors due to COVID. It's possible that the visitors' parking lots will be patrolled or closed. Just a thought. Walmart has trucker and overnight parking, not all of them. Some Walmarts specifically ban people from sleeping in the parking lot, so make sure to check before you try to sleep there. Some won't bother you, but if you ask they have to tell you no. Basically they'll ignore you unless you make them enforce policy. I did this for close to a week. Nasty divorce and my family took her side before the truth came out. Of course I was flat broke, couldn't get a room. I slept in the IHOP parking lot since there 24 hours, never once raised any suspicion. Nasty divorce and my family took her side before the truth came out. Been there. Ain't it lovely? The fact that it was actually the small, sweet Asian woman that was the abuser seemed to blow people's minds too hard. People's misguided perceptions was a kick in the balls. In the end, I basically had to ditch an entire circle of friends. I hope things turned out well for you, man. All they need to do is turn on the waterworks and even your own family don't know who to believe. Had to do this once. I found a quiet side street in a neighborhood, parked towards the back, away from the main street, rolled up my windows, locked my doors, put my seat back, and slept. At sunrise, I left. No one bothered me. Honestly, this is the real answer OP needs. Also should check out the various van life subreddits like our van dwellers and our van life. They are the ones who know all about finding overnight parking. The key that they say in both of those subs is to move around on a regular basis, even if it's all within the same city. Also, it really depends on if OP is more of a big city dweller or more rural, because that makes a difference. If you're used to living in a city, for example, find a side street next to a large condo, long as there's no overnight parking signs, you're good to go. It would also help to be covered up, like under blanket in a car with fold down rear seats, so it doesn't look like you're sleeping in your car. Less likely that someone cops will hassle you or think that you passed out or had a medical emergency than if you were sleeping in the driver's seat. In my driver's ed book it says that if you're driving and feel tired, to stop over and nap to avoid driving while sleep deprived. If you're questioned you could say you were feeling too groggy to be able to drive safely. Police are guaranteed to harass you if you say that. Never admit to them that you have driven unsafely. They will use your own words as evidence against you.